Welcome back, gang. It's Deltia from Deltiasgaming.com. We got a new announcement here for the next DLC, and that's going to be called Last Steps, coming to PC Mac Stadia on August 22nd, 2022. Xbox and PlayStation will be September 6th, 2022. Got some juicy tidbits here. Both PvE and PvP players are probably going to want to stay tuned. There's going to be 2 DLC dungeons and a bunch of new things to collect, along with some base game updates. I think they're going to be very interesting. No, we don't know about Oakensoul getting nerfed and all sorts of things, but we will know coming very, very soon. It looks like the PTS is launching on Monday, July 11th. That's going to be for PC and Mac public test server. I'll have a link in the description below. I'll have a guide on that on my website as well if you don't know how to access the PTS. Okay, so let's break down this announcement. Too long, didn't read it. What you need to know, what you need to be prepared for. Looks like we have 2 new dungeons. So anytime we have 2 new dungeons, we have 3 sets within those dungeons and typically a monster helm. So they said 8 new item sets. So you can assume 2 helms, 3 body, 1 light, 1 medium, 1 heavy, and the same thing in the second dungeon. We got Earth Root Enclave dungeon. Haven't heard anything about this. We don't know what it looks like. Very earthy tones here. And Graven Deep dungeon. Looks like a High Isles sailor whispers anxiously. A lot of RP here, but looks like very sailor, Captain Jack Sparrow's Pirates of the Caribbean. So 2 kind of different tones of dungeons from what the text reads and descriptions we got here. I imagine both will have new meta sets because this is NMX Online Studios and this is the Elder Scrolls Online, whether it's PvE, PvP, some new meta set. We haven't got a new meta 2-piece monster helm yet for a long time, specifically in PvE. We got Magma Incarnate, which is pretty much meta for PvP. So I'm thinking next up on their docket is to reset the market and reset the gear on monster helms. That's what I'm calling for in my predictions here. One of these 2 new ones is either going to have a healer or a DPS set. So it talks a little bit about how both of these dungeons have their own unique story and reward, including item sets, achievements, collectibles. Nothing really new here. This is what Elder Scrolls Online does pretty much every 3rd quarter in their DLC rollout. You don't know, this is going to be quarter 3 DLC with 1 more to follow. They usually always have 2 dungeons, 1 or 2 new gear sets that will change the meta both in PvE and PvP, a crap ton of achievements, dyes, collectibles, titles, everything to go after to make you collectors just salivate with excitement. And then you'll have it looks like a quest that leads directly into the year's final prologue in DLC. More on that in the future. Now we get to the juicy stuff, and that is update 35. That's base game. So launching in tandem with the DLC, and what that means is the DLC you have to either buy it outright or you have to do ESO Plus. The new base game is just free if you own the Elder Scrolls Online. This includes balance changes is their lead in, fixes and new features that will including changes to the combat system, the introduction of bonus mini events for Battlegrounds, for example, a weekend that grants bonus alliance points, and broad improvement to XP gains in PvP in general. Okay, this is the meat and potatoes, what we need to talk about here. First, break it down piece by piece. Balance changes, aka Oakensouls. What are you going to do about it? I think it fits perfectly in PvE. It's not overtuned. It helps a dramatic amount of people enjoy the game, do the content they wouldn't normally be able to do. I love it for PvE because I still prefer my 2-bar build. PvP, it's a complete disaster. Maggio, friend of my stream, suggested best take away Major Force and Major Berserk and put Major Slayer on it. That could be done, or you also could do something else like maybe deactivate it in larger groups like Pale Order or Battle Spirit. You turn it off, something. But Oakensoul needs adjusted. So does Savage Werewolf. So do these heavy attack DK builds. So there's the cheesiest metas out there. And hey, I'm as guilty as anyone from running it. But that balance changes, that's the point of emphasis. That's what I'm honing in on. Zoss, you gotta do something because it's bad. Also, that leads me to believe that this is not going to be changed until August 22nd. That they're not going to do any incrementals. I'm just speculating and guessing here that Oakensoul is going to remain in its current form along with some of the other cheesy sets until August 22nd. I wish, like Destiny and other games, they would do this a little bit quicker than waiting for the next 3 months content cycle to balance these items, but just speculating waiting. I don't think we're going to see any changes until August. PTS will be Monday, so we're going to get a first glance look at what this is going to look like. Then they talk about new features. Now, they had a post for fall of 2022, a separate image from this post. And in that specific one, it says 3 new PvP item sets. So these are typical rewards worthies. Zaw says, frankly, done a really good job at incentivizing PvP sets that are meta. Plague Break, Rallying Cry, Vicious Death, Dark Convergence. Whether you hate or love those sets, they're used in almost every PvP build. So that leads me to believe that they're going to reset the market again, and these new item sets are going to make you change all of your PvP builds, or most of them, along with the Oakensoul change. So what I'm seeing in the forecast for us is a lot of new gear set and item changes, especially for PvP. In PvE, we don't know until we see those new item sets coming from the dungeons, but I'm pretty sure those monster helms are going to be really, really juicy out the gate. So it talks about new features, including changes to combat system. I don't know what that is. If I know anything about the developers, when people are using gear sets and items predominantly like 80-90%, I'm talking about dual wield, both in magic and stamina. That's probably going to get adjusted sometime in the future. I imagine the developers don't want all of their magic builds running dual wield because of the passives are so strong. So I imagine, guessing, sometime in the future that's going to be adjusted. But we don't know what combat system changes means and new features. Not for sure on that. Now, the really juicy bit here is the introduction of bonus mini events for Battlegrounds. For example, a weekend that grants bonus alliance points. What I find interesting about this is, if you watch my previous video, which none of you did, about them talking that they need to fix the servers before they can do these Battleground events. This is kind of leading me to believe, are you fixing EU, PCU? Are you fixing consoles like you did PCNA? Because people will tell you that it's a lot worse or blah, blah, blah. It's way better. People will tell you that these servers aren't really that good. They're not really improved. That's complete BS. It is 1,000 times better on PCNA than it is on PCU. How do I know? I play in prime time on both. And yes, I live in America, but I have great internet, and it's the exact same for PCU players. You go to click a button, 2 seconds later it happens. PCNA, the frames might drop, but it's buttery smooth in performance. I'm telling you right now, this would be the biggest improvement for the minority of people that love playing PvP in the game. ESO, yes, it might be about housing now. It might be about crafting writs now. It might be about doing dungeons now. But it started as a PvP game, and you will see droves of people flock back if this Battleground weekend event coincides with fixing the servers. I'm guessing here, they kind of hinted at that in Gina Bruno's post a while back, but it leads me to believe they're making progress on this, and if it does happen, and we get some incentives to do PvP on the weekends, like the majority of other competitive multiplayer games, people will flock back in droves, assuming Oakensoul gets fixed and they raise the time to kill. And then broad improvements to XP gains in PvP in general. I don't think people in PvP do player versus player to get XP. They want to kill folks, brag about how great they are. At least, arrogant people like me like to do that. So I don't know how much this moves the needle. Look, it needs more collection. We need to either change Grand Overlord, make something else, get some mounts for PvP, get some transmutes, just like the card game. You sit around and play the card game, Tales of Tributes, you're getting crazy amount of rewards. That's what we need. But this is a good start. And if it coincides with changing the servers, fixing the servers, and the mid-year mayhem, the white strakes might be coming up here in the end of July and early August. We have some hints towards that, especially when we get done with the crafting writ event. It's going to be great. Great time for PvP, especially if Oakensoul gets adjusted in some of the other cheesy sets. That's just a case of what's to come. This is going to come on the public test server July 11th. So I'll be streaming a gazillion hours on July 11th. That should be a Monday on twitch.tv/Deltiasgaming. So if you want to see me fumble through the new item sets or die a bunch of times trying to do the hard modes of the new dungeons, I would tune in there. I'll work on trying to get some guides out on that and see how they are, along with posts on this channel, my Twitter, if you want to know what the new item sets are. Remember, it's testing, so these are not final, so don't freak out when you see this. So PTS, patch notes, reactions, gear set, PvP balancing changes, PvE balancing changes, and what is going to happen in Update 35 with Oakensoul. Buckle up, we're about to find out. Thanks for watching.